If you're familiar with how editing modules works in Curricular, programs now work the exact same way. So if I want to edit a program, I would simply click the edit button, and that will then show me the construction version or the under construction version of that record, and I can make whatever changes I like. Now, when I make the changes to this record, I have two options. I can either scroll to the bottom and save those changes that I've made and come back and continue editing later, and any changes that I've made are held within the under construction version of that program record and not yet merged into the live version of the record. But if I've finished making all the changes that I want to make, I can then submit my changes for review. So I'd simply come in here and write a message to the reviewer indicating what I had changed. So I can demonstrate that by making a quick edit here. So if I go ahead and edit the program title and code, now I can submit those changes for review. Now, the person who's designated as the reviewer for that program will get an email telling them that they have a set of changes that need to be reviewed for the program. Now, it just so happens that I'm the reviewer for that particular program. So the next time I log into Curricular and go to the dashboard, I'll be presented not with the Getting Started help, but with a table that flags up for me that I have changes that need to be reviewed. So I can then go into the change control section where I can see my pending reviews. And if I click here, I can see all pending reviews for all reviewers within this particular team, this Curricular team. So I can go into my review record, and this is the under review version of the record. So this hasn't been merged into the live record yet because I haven't approved it yet. So you can see the changes that I made are reflected here. I've got test edit and test edit under the code, and I have a message from the editor that says they've temporarily changed the program title and code and a timestamp of when they did that. So I have two options at this point. I can either approve this change, in which case it gets merged into the live version of the record and that live record is updated, or I can reject the change. So if I reject the change, I have to provide the editor with some kind of message that tells them why I rejected it. And then I can submit that reject. At this point, the editor now gets an email that says that the reviewer has rejected the changes, and it provides them with a message that I provided just there. So then when they log back in and navigate back to that program record, if they try to edit the record, they'll see the reviewer message. So my message was, please change the title and code back, and a timestamp of when that was made. So they have two options now. They can either continue editing, or they can and submit their changes again, or they can revert the under construction version of the program back to match the live version. So it could be that they made some changes and I like most of them as the reviewer, but I didn't like one or two specific changes, in which case they'd want to maintain all of the changes that they'd made, but only change the things that I as a reviewer have asked them. So they could, in that case, they wouldn't revert this record back. They would simply make their changes. But if it was a case that they made changes to the under construction record and they were not at all acceptable and all had to be reverted back, well then they can simply click revert changes, and that returns the record back to its original, that returns the under construction version of the record back to match the live version of the record. And then they can go about their new set of changes again and submit those for review. So if I now return to the live version of the program record, we can see that there's a history option on the left-hand side, exactly the same as we have for modules. So here we have a complete record of all of the approved changes that were made to this program. So we can see a previous version of the record and in the green box, and we can see in the blue box is the current live version of the record. So if this particular program had a longer history of changes, we'd see a number of green boxes down here indicating what the changes were via the commit message. But we could also go in and view the record that related to that particular commit message. So in doing so, in clicking that button, you can see a superseded version of your program record. So you can see that the change that was made to produce this version of the program record was the title was changed. And you can see there, temporarily changed module title for demonstration purposes. And the blue version, the one at the top here, is always going to be the live record. So to view that, all I have to do is go back and actually view the live version of the record. So as I say, the edit and review workflow for programs and the history log for programs now works in the exact same way that it does for modules. So it gives us a much tighter control over program edits, changes, and a good record of how things have evolved over time.